Hey, I'm Lack and Logic, and welcome to my channel. Kind of want to go on another psychology rant and talk about hollows today, or at least my interpretation of what a hollow is. And granted, it's not very far out of what the main interpretation is. I mean, they talk about it a lot in fucking anime and stuff like that. Um, but a hollow is, I think, a um, it's a, yeah, it's a problem, but it's like it's something that psychology can really help heal in a sense, or at least kind of give you a better direction. Um, a hollow is made when I'm using three attributes from each side of the male and female spectrum because they'll be uh, pretty much the main ones. Like from the male side, you're going to have like guidance, discipline, um, maybe insight, or um, what else? Courage, determination, like whatever you want to put there. But in a sense, it's more or less the nurturing ability. So here in the female side, it's more environment, um, foundation, um, comfort, right? So like these are attributes that are at least main for a male and a female's uh, that end up developing the child, right? So how do you create a hollow that doesn't have a connection to? Well, to create a hollow, you have to pretty much neglect both areas that are benefits for or that are benefits from the guardians to the child, right? And hollows usually generate from a child growing up without the attributes of their parents. You can have like attributes from one or the other. So like let's say um you're raised by a mother who well they she's a single mom, she divorced the guy, so he's not really in the picture. So you're not really getting any benefits from that guy, right? So the woman that is raising the woman is going to have very high attributes from the woman's perspective that's building the psyche of the child. Now, when that happens, it can create scenarios where, like, it's things that you don't really notice, but it's everyday tasks that children do. That's kind of the bread and butter is what kids notice that you don't. And kids will notice a lot. So if it's strictly female based, then the if it's a daughter, right? So like the psyche can be different based on the gender of the child, right? So if this is a female and it gets female attributes only, it could have the child could have daddy issues if that's type of shit. It could be very strongly hateful towards men, feminist type women, fall in this category. Um, but on the other side, if it's a male that's raised by female traits, this could create a more feminine male, right? And it could create a um, like I think that that's what also comes from the mama's boy type of thing, right? Is it becomes too much of a latch, and the male counterpart can become weaker in a sense. But like the mama's boy is the type of is like the pinnacle of that. Well, the rejection of the males to the females would be daddy issues. You know what I mean? Mommy issues for the male. Like the attributes are needed from both to have a balanced child, right? So what would happen if you had um, just from the father? Well, then you can create a dummy in a sense, right? So like if it's a just strictly father with no female attributes, there might not be any empathy there. And I guess that's kind of a big one for the female side is empathy. Um, so a male led by just a father, not a mother, can be very masculine, like too masculine, right? And can become more of a sex demon type shit. Like I'm not saying that's how it always happens, but these are strong psychological developments based through like almost in a sense stereotypes that we build around people that are raised like this. And it happens because you could get like this is where like psychological problems end up coming from, I believe, is because you're not getting the full benefits of both parents. You're only getting bits and pieces if you have both of them in general. There's a lot of people out there that don't have that are their parents are split up or and then they're getting together and having kids. So like they don't even have brothers and sisters from the same family. Like you know what I mean? Like that stuff does it causes problems. The amount of children too is a problem. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have kids, but I don't think that having the amount of kids that because we already don't have enough time with family. That's the whole point of society is to crumble the family, like the general idea of having a family. They want everybody to be independent. They want everybody to be impotent. I mean, everybody's already impotent. If they're not impotent, they're gay. If they're not gay, they're transgender. If they're not transgender, they just don't want kids. There's a lot of people out there that's already starting this initiation, and it's going to be a detriment to human society. It very much will be, even to the species, because I wouldn't say the species. The species will be here. Like, so it's like these attributes are very important to have in both in the household. But if you neglect, so you get the idea of, you know, either or attributes can create it can create different types of scenarios in the psyche of the child. But if you close off both sides, the child becomes hollow because it no longer has a connection to anything. This is kind of a scenario that happened to me. You know, my parents had they were both working, and this is kind of why it got me on this kind of route was thinking about my life, and the best information comes from experience. That's why I don't condone or like I don't put my nose at anecdotal evidence. Like I'll take a whiff of it. It's it's going to be based on experience. So I gotta make sure to wean out the bullshit and keep the information that's good. It's like this stuff's based on experience, and I know living in a family with a lot of kids, it can become very difficult, especially with having both parents working, to have a stable family. Not everybody's getting the attention they need, right? And especially the ones that need the quote unquote special attention. Like in school, I was the troubled kid, or NISS, or detention. This, that, yeah, they're bullshit. Like, I didn't want to conform. That was the whole fucking thing. Those who conform and do well in school will be the ones that grow up and do immoral things, right? They're the ones that become the politicians. They're the ones that become the fucking I'm not saying it's all of them, but private sectors that fucking use and abuse people for money. Like it happens. Those are the people that do that. They become lawyers to be professional. Like these people do that shit. It's not the dumb fucks that go and pick up your trash every day. Though we do have our fair share of fuckaroos, but in general, it's the scale is different. But anyway, when a scenario like this happens and a hollow is made, it's because they're not getting the proper attention. And some kids need, I wouldn't say need, some kids thrive on attention, right? And I think this is where a lot of ADHD comes from. It doesn't come from like being in front of the TV or something like that. Like I get the premise behind that, but my understandings would be that it's because nobody ever fucking listened to that kid as a kid, and that person was trying to do whatever they can to get attention. You know what I mean? Like that's where I think ADHD comes from. And it's like it gets to the point where it's like the kid will ask something, but the parent doesn't register it. And then the kid constantly the kid has to make up different scenarios to bypass the fact that the parent doesn't give a shit. Right? So I don't know. I mean that's the hollow is created based off of not getting the attention. So what happens when a hollow never like they don't understand that they're a hollow? And you'll understand you're a hollow when you feel hollow, when things aren't passionate for you. Like you don't have any goals, you don't have any like you expect people to give up on you, you doubt yourself, all the negative traits, whatever. That's what comes with a hollow. It's like you feel like you don't have a purpose in this world. And so the problem with this is when you become a hollow, you can become imprintable. And that's when a hollow can become very attached to a thing or a person. So let's say the hollow is in the teen years now, whatever, right? And then they don't know what's going on. They're a hollow, but they don't know what, right? So they're just living their life. And then somebody comes into their life unexpectedly, but shows interest, shows attention to them. This can create an imprinting. And imprinting is where the connection comes from an outside source of your non-guidance, your non-guardian. So you're getting guidance from a new person. This is big in like monks and stuff like that. People who feel they're empty inside and stuff like that, they'll go and search for enlightenment. But the problem is they become attached to the monk status, right? They become attached to the monastery, the way it is, and stuff like that. They're not going there to learn anything. They're going there to become that, and that's not the point, right? So they imprinting on something new can become either a good or bad thing, because the imprinting is the person imprinting is going to be either somebody with good intentions or bad intentions. They're either going to use you or they're going to guide you, right? So this could be like a shaman or a bad friend or just whoever gives you the attention that you can you can draw off of it. And this can become a problem because in the bad situation where you have like a bad friend or a bad influence that's attached to you, you're not going to notice the abuse that they're doing to you because you've accepted that they're giving you the attention, right? And what you want is the attention. That's all you've ever wanted. So they're going to utilize that to make sure you stay, type of shit. You know what I mean? And it's the same scenario with women getting beat the shit out of, right? So you were a hollow beforehand because maybe you had problems in your childhood, and you found comfort in the fact that somebody's at least giving you attention. Even if it's bad attention, it's attention. But nonetheless, that person imprinted on you. That's why you don't want to leave, is because that person showed interest. And you've never had anybody show interest in you until now. Like you created attention, you created a tether to that person. And those tethers are very hard to break. These ones are hard to break too, so that's how you got to know a hollow's been through some shit, right? Because you literally, it's at least in my opinion, raising children, they will definitely do whatever they can to get your attention. So you have to really try to ignore them, really. So it's like literally giving up, like, and phones do that on a massive scale now. They allow you to just drown everything out. Like I don't like that shit. So like I use my phone to make videos and stuff like that, but try to limit my phone time little as possible when I'm around my children because I want to give them the full attention, good or bad, because my children have to know that I get angry. My children have to know that I'm happy. My children have to know when I get sad, stuff like that. Like they're gonna see it, and I want them to see it because I'm fucking human, right? I can't deny my emotions because I am human. But the idea is to understand these threads, right? It's important to understand the threads because it's going to allow you to understand where you're putting those threads. That's why psychology is so important. That's why psychology can help at least send you on the right road to allow yourself to pick the people you want in your life, to pick the people you want to imprint on you. I mean, I know it sounds weird. You don't necessarily want anybody to imprint on you, but if you hold yourself, right, you fill yourself with your interests, you understand your personality, like finding who you are can it can negate these threads. It can make it seem as if you never needed them, but you've got to get to that part first. It doesn't just happen. You have to psychologically destroy yourself and bring yourself back up to understand that you do in the beginning, but when you're older, you it's like a look back on it and laugh type of shit. You know what I mean? I'm already past all that stuff. I forgive I forgive whoever did me wrong. I hope they forgive if I've ever done them wrong. And I'm kind of taking my life by my own balls right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm focused on me. So what kind of shit do I want in my life or don't want my well, I don't want to be beaten by my husband anymore. So we're gonna get rid of that. Right? This is the strength that you get for yourself. It's not for them. It's not for anybody else besides you. It's your strength. You have to find it. And when you find out you're worth a damn, right? Because that's the important thing is you finding out you're worth a damn, right? That helps heal that hollowness. That helps. And as like speaking of experience, I don't think it's 100%. Because like I'm still working on it. Like I won't give up as long as I'm working towards a better me in a sense. Not necessarily a better me, but to understand that my life is will change regardless of what I do, but I'm here to write it out, right? And finding me developed a type of resilience. And like because I've already not really had anybody, it was really easy to create a resilience for myself. And then once I was able to find myself, it was easier to trust myself in a sense. Like, I don't know, like a lot of hollows will go through a sense of having to um, pretty much hold on to their own reins of life because nobody else was there to help. And then they'll eventually become a shallow person who won't get too like out there and stuff like that. So it becomes hard for them to get out of that hollow state. And I'll tell you this too is you'll notice when you and like as a hollow, you'll notice when things are different when like going out and doing something fun like with friends or with relatives or whatever, but going out that moment when you're trusting yourself, you enjoy the moment more, right? And that you notice the people that are around you, you notice the people that are doing fun things with you or whatever. It's like people that take in your interest and like it starts to make you feel warmer inside or at least feel something. And that's the goal, right? That's the goal of trying to alleviate the effects of the hollow. And like a thing too is a lot of people can't handle the hollow as an adult. And that's why suicide's such a high rate. It a hollow is usually based through children, and that's why a lot of these elites utilize children as a source of manipulation because they can handle this type of stress. They're newborns, or not newborns, but they're young, right? And I'm like, whatever they do to the kids, it's all wrong. But it's, like a lot of celebrities are like this. Like that's another thing with the hollow. There is an attribute with hollows, and that's the fact that they can put on a persona very well, right? So they can switch and swap between different types of characters if need be to be whoever they want. And they can be very good at it. A lot of actors and actresses are indeed hollows. You know, they're they're husks in a sense. Like you see it. I mean, I really don't have to explain that. The idea of a hollow is the epiphany of a celebrity, right? So like they don't they're not raised properly. They're usually abused, introduced to drugs. Their life at the beginning is usually pretty shit. Just because it's on camera, it looks fine. Behind cameras is another fucking story. And they create hollows in Hollywood. And when that happens, they can become anything. I don't know. I can promise you that there's not a celebrity out there that honestly understands themselves. Like a good celebrity, like your Matthew McConaughey's or your Tom Cruise's or your Will Smith's. You know what I mean? There's celebrities out there that are literally drowning in themselves because they don't even know who they are. And that's kind of like the broad statement of it all. Like that's the big picture. It's like if you want to take an idea of what a hollow is, just look at a celebrity. It's like their soul is it's not gone, but it's being manipulated. And they don't see there because they're not willing to do literal inner work. And there's like the difference between doing inner work and like becoming enlightened is I guess enlightenment is kind of the end goal of your work. But when you become enlightened, it becomes a whole different ball game because the enlightenment is not to try to gain something, right? It's at that point it's just trying to live life balance, right? And you won't see a celebrity giving up their home. Fuck, you see Oprah and Dwayne Johnson asking for money for Hawaii. Like, what? There should be no billionaire asking the public for money. There should be none. I was going to say, too, it's kind of a random topic, but those data centers are going to fucking screw us. You wonder why they bought up so much farmland? Is to build these data centers. And I've talked about it in another video, that data is the new currency. It doesn't matter. The data is the new currency. And the data you feed the internet is growing the AI. That's what's happening. AI isn't conscious. It will never be conscious. Anybody that thinks it's conscious has fell for the trap. It's artificial intelligence. Artificial. It's in the name. It's artificial. It's not it's real in the sense that the internet is real. That's about as far as it goes. Because that's the AI's brain, is what we've put on the internet, the data that we've put on the internet. From when computers started to now, there is so much shit that we have put in the computer. And that AI is going to know it. Find something that's not in the computer, I bet you the AI won't know it. Stop feeding it data, bet you the AI won't learn anymore. not to the extent of learning something new, but regurgitating the same shit it's already got, right? So you get we hollows are important because you can that's the best way to manipulate people. That's why school's so important, to help get people, like, I wouldn't say that it's kind of attributed to the hollows, but the manipulation part is very key, right? If you can use and abuse it, take the innocence away from a child, it's very easy to manipulate them. The whole thing too is like, with my experience, uh, I severed ties to imprints that I had. I understood me, and I stopped giving them power, and it made a lot of them mad. It made it, like, some people's even gotten like crazy in a sense, right? So like avoiding that, it saves me. It saves energy, it saves depression, it saves time. You know, I'm a if you fuck me over once, my fault, but you ain't gonna do it again. It's not, you're gonna get me twice, you're gonna get me 3 times. No. If it's once, you're done. I'm sorry. I've been fucked over too many times in my fucking life to be like, yeah, I'll give you another try. I'm good. Thanks, though. And more power to you. Like, you want to take money from me? Take money from me. I don't care. But guess what? I'm not going to talk to you again. You won't ever have access to my life ever again. I'm like, that's how I do things. I don't care. It's not about confronting, but you didn't confront me to take the money, so why would I confront you to kick you out of my life? Like, 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 like I'm not gonna give you an inch because you take a mile. And there's a lot of people out there like that. And there's a lot of people who don't have the balls to be, to break through those bitch barriers and be like, nah, stop fucking around with me. Like, some people aren't bite. Some people are very recluse. Some people, they don't like conflict in that sense because they know that people can be over dramatic. They can be extreme with shit. You know what I mean? It's like they could take things out of context and see it all wrong. Anyway, I kind of just want to go over hollows. I might speak on them again. They'll probably come up because I just talk about a conglomerate of shit. And I usually reference back to older videos just to kind of give people a, like, oh, I didn't notice that he said something like that. We'll go back and read it or watch it. Whatever. But you want to heal as a hollow, watch my psychology video. Building yourself on psychology, learning philosophy. Those things will help you develop into a better person because it's picking what you choose for yourself rather than allowing the ties of other people to form you. Because eventually you're going to have to, eventually, if you're going to go down a spiritual path, you got to cut these ties anyway. You got to cut all ties to everything because you're trying to negate the idea that you're just attached to the material world, right? Because you're more than that. There's a consciousness here. But our minds are very malleable, especially when we're children. So, in a sense, you got to learn to love yourself. If you're hollow and you feel hollow and you want passion in your life and then you generally have to do what you can to make the interests of your life for you, not for other people. Stop living for other people. The more you live for others, the less you live for yourself. It's the same concept when following Jesus. If you follow too closely to him, you'll never know where your shadow starts and his ends. You can't follow too close to somebody. You can't grab somebody. Like this, all this shit is based around you and how you develop for yourself. That's going to lead you to, it can lead you to enlightenment. It can lead you to tap into consciousness. You just have to do the work. And it's not like the hard work we do nowadays physically is nothing compared to the mental work that people could be doing. Who gives a fuck if you work at McDonald's? Who gives a fuck if you work in construction? If you stopped spending so much money, you wouldn't need to make so much money. You wouldn't need to break your back every fucking day. Jobs is a whole nother one. I don't know. I don't think I've done a video on jobs, but I will do a video on jobs if I haven't. And because I don't understand why people love their fucking job so much. And it comes up to how we are raised, right? So like a lot of shit starts from when we are raised by our parents. Our parents set the goals for us to either fail or succeed. And a lot of times people are failing their children. So hard pill to swallow, sorry. But a lot of people neglect their children. I don't think I've ever seen more obese kids in my entire life. I don't think I've seen more kids on antidepressants in my entire life. I don't think I've seen more kids on cell phones and tablets than I have ever in my entire life. And we are telling ourselves we are great parents. We send our kids to schools even though we know they're corrupted. Why do we send our kids to schools? Because we have to go to work. Why do we have to go to work? Because we decided we needed that $130,000 house, $130,000 car. Oh, fuck you. $230,000 house now. Because a $130,000 house ain't shit. It's like, but it's just, we have to uphold the idea of a society, so we're going to neglect our family. What was the whole reason behind getting women into the workforce anyway? Like, our roles are very important to our children, right? It doesn't matter how you fucking feel. If you have because your emotions can be manipulated. If you don't think so, then why the fuck is there movies that people surround their fucking lives around? Harry Potter, Star Wars, that type of shit. They wouldn't be emotionally manipulating if you weren't diehard fucking fans. You know what I mean? Like, your emotions are not fucking valid here. Your emotions come from your environment and how you're experiencing your environment. And if you're experiencing it wrong, you're going to have wrong emotions, or you're not going to know how to use them. It's like, I'm tired of that. She was like, well, I feel like this. I feel like that. Well, why do you feel like that? Do you want to hold that feeling? You want to hold on to that? You're not thinking in your head, maybe I should change something a little bit to try to not have that feeling anymore? And this is where that idea of everybody wanting to wear a fucking badge of honor of some disability or some fucking mental issue. It's like, you're not even taking the initiative that you could probably fix yourself if you actually did some work. You would rather just put the fucking patch on and say, hey, look what I got. It's purple. Like, what are you doing? But going to work isn't that fucking important. Majority of our jobs are completely fucking useless. COVID showed that. Majority of the workforce stopped working. Service industry stayed alive though. Your Burger Kings, your Pizza Huts, your McDonald's. Oh yeah. They were busy. They were very busy. Because people don't know how to fucking cook it. They would it's just weird how we raise kids and how we do things. Because I got, like, another thing I was thinking about too, and this thought came up to me as I was watching a couple of turkeys crossing the road. A car was coming, and at the time, one turkey ran. He just took off, and he almost got hit by a car. But the other turkey waited, and you could tell he was waiting for the car to pass by. He was like slowly walking, waiting for the car to pass, and then speeding up as the car walked away. So in my head, I'm like, is one not like, does one not know consciousness and the other one does type of thing? And that's kind of what I was thinking about with like people, right? The reason why they wanted us, especially with religion, why they wanted us to produce so much was so that we could be overwhelmed with the idea of being a parent to the point where it becomes a burden. You know what I mean? And when that happens, then you could sell your, and it has happened, selling off your fucking kids. Like, what the fuck? But just in general, like it has happened to the point where like now even just CPS will come and swipe up your fucking kids by any stupid Rebecca or Karen that calls up and says, "Well, something happened." And completely out of fucking context, don't know what the fuck's going on, but just seen something at the corner of her fucking eye for a split second, calls the fucking cops, and then has them to your fucking front door, and they're now you're in the fucking system. And it's like the idea that we just want to take kids away from their fucking families. That's not weird to people. That's weird to me. That's very weird to me. I have a problem raising my kids based on like how I raised, because I'm trying to do my best to avoid raising them how I was raised, but it seems to slip out sometimes, you know. No abuse or anything like that, but like yelling. It's not like I don't like fucking yelling. Why am I so goddamn angry? And it's like my dad was angry my entire fucking childhood, always fucking mad. And it's like that's exactly where I get that shit from. And it's like I got but like being conscious of that shit, right? So like I'm aware that I don't want to act like that, so I want to change. So like that's the awareness of somebody that's in a sense tapped into the consciousness, right? Not it doesn't have to be fully, because at the when I first started my journey, it was, oh, I couldn't say it was subtle. And when my first experience happened, my head was hurting like motherfucker for so long. I just I don't know. Like I don't that whole scenario when I lost everything, when I decided I wanted to change, like things changed. Things literally changed. They had to. They did. But like it didn't start off like me. Like I was just upset about everything. I didn't know where to guide myself to, right? But like eventually I found a way that suits me. And like that's kind of the idea I had with that turkey today. He's a turkey that he's tapped into the consciousness in a sense. Like he's not just a fucking normal dullard who spends $50 a day on fucking DoorDash type of shit. You know what I mean? Like he thinks about whether or not he needs the money, or he thinks about what he can use as a necessity rather than a want type of thing. You know what I mean? So like he wasn't risking to get across the street faster so he didn't get hit by a car and then in turn get hit by a car. He was waiting for the car to pass so that he could comfortably walk across the street. Like that's two different types of intelligence there, right? Like, oh, like one's stupid, one's this. It's like, yeah, but if you put it on a fucking higher scale, people will constantly do shit that is bad for them and still fight for it. You know what I mean? Like, well, I deserve it. I'm American. It's like, what the fuck does that have anything to do with it? Like, very fat people, very sick people, suicidal people, drug addicts. Like, what else do you fucking want? Psychologically damaged. But we all just put on the fucking badge and represent it to the whole fucking world. Look at what I am. I'm a fucked up mess. This shit starts at our fucking childhood. There's a lot of hollows out there, and I hope this video helps a little bit. Pick up psychology. Carl Jung's a good one. Like I said, the information is there, and it can really help you guide yourself out of depression and branch you off into a new change for yourself, a new acceptance for yourself. But like The good ones are like Alan Watts, Ram Dass. Philosophers are very good to listen to because they can help you settle the stress in your life, right? Because they can explain things softly and um, to the point, right? Psychology is the idea of fixing yourself, or it's the tools needed to help fix yourself, right? So you'll understand the shit that a lot of philosophers talk about is psychology. So even philosophers are good, like they're good to learn when you're trying to go through psychology. Uh, I've talked about it, like Terence McKenna. I've talked about his work before. I mean, sure, he's brilliant, but too fancy words for me. It's too fancy. It doesn't get to the point. And that's kind of a thing too with a lot of psychiatrists or psychological like shit is it's all fucking surrounded with complicated words and shit, stuff that normal people ain't gonna understand. And that's the whole point, because so many of the majority of people are like, they don't understand like the psychological parts, how to understand themselves, right? They just know the system and how to work with the system. So like, if you have it where it's extremely difficult to understand this shit, then it's easy to manipulate people, or it's easy for people to just get exhausted trying to understand themselves. So like, that's kind of the whole point why I'm making these videos, is trying to make it a little more simple for the average people, because we don't get the ideas of, some of us, I'm sure, yeah, but like majority of us, honestly, we don't know that shit. We don't care. It's not a part. We got to get up, do our jobs and shit like that. Like, is we created importance on the opposite side of the spectrum that we needed to. I don't know. That's kind of just what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to go in a little more psychology with hollows and see if maybe it can be directed to help others. But that's all I got. I'll talk to you later.